Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, you are so welcome. And if you're a returning user, you're a returning watcher, welcome back. I'm happy to have you here again. My name is Veronica Ademi and I'm a product designer. I created this channel so I can share what I'm learning around product design. I can share my experiences, I can share my career, and just lifestyle in general. And on today's video, we'll be talking about best practices for designing input fields. So if you see these input fields that are here, I'm going to quickly walk you through a presentation to just share best practices for designing input fields. Then we're going to jump right into Figma to design. So stay connected till the end of this video. Thank you. Hi guys, so welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to jump right into the presentation now to check out best practices for designing input fields. So the first thing we'll be looking into is what are input fields. And input fields are user interface elements used to collect responses from the user on the app. And the app can either be a mobile app or a web app or just any digital interface. And this is how an input field looks like. So if you are used to using a device, or if you are not used to, this is an input field and it's used to collect data, it's used to collect responses, information from the user. And the element is mostly used as a form that allow users to enter text details like name, password, email, number, and address. So you can use this to impute your name. Like if the app is requesting for information and the information is your name, you use this input text to put in that details, right? So next, we'll be looking at the element of an input field, what you need to have when designing an input field. And the first one is a label. A label is a piece of text that describes the purpose of the input field. So this is a label text. A label text describes what this input field is for and and what you're meant to put inside this input field. For example, if this input field was for name, this label text is either going to show full name or it's going to show first name or last name. So the user that's inputting the information here will know the type of information I'm meant to provide. For example, if this is showing first name, I'm not meant to put my email address here. I'm meant to put my first name here. So the second one is the container, and this is a container. This rectangle that you can show here. The container is the area where the user can enter text. Yeah. So this kind of container is needed so that if full name is showing here, I'm not going to come outside here to come and put my name. I'm going to put my name in this container. So the third one is a placeholder, and a placeholder is a hint or an example that appears within the input field when it's empty. So this place that shows input text is a placeholder, and I'm going to explain why I named it 3 and 4. 4 is input text. This is the text that the user has entered into the input field, right? So we have placeholder and input text here. Placeholder is when me as a user have not imputed the detail, and input text is when me as a user have imputed my detail. So, for example, again, if this label text is showing email address, a placeholder is going to give me an example of an email address here. But when I provide my own email address, it becomes an input text, the input text that the user has imputed. I'm going to show you more examples of this in the slides to come. So the fifth one is validation text, and validation text is what we have here. And validation text can be used in several cases. For example, password. If I'm required to provide a password, a validation text gives additional context to that and is actually optional. So a validation text can be this password should be 6 digits long, or this password should only be numbers, right? So the validation text provides more details to what is required of me. So the sixth one that we have is leading icon, and it's also optional. This is what a leading icon. This is where a leading icon will be. And it's called leading because it comes before this input text that is at first. So a leading icon describes the type of input text field that is required. For example, if a password is required, the leading icon can give me an icon of a lock. Just give me an icon that describes what is required of me here. So the seventh one is a trailing icon, and this is what a trailing icon is, and this is where it's going to be. So a trailing icon can be used to control the text that I put here. For example, if this place is a password and I input my password, having this open eye icon shows that I can see the password I typed. But if it has that cancel eye, it means the password that I typed is invisible. I can't see. So that is an example of a trailing icon. Another example can be a clear icon, a cancel icon. For example, if I type something here and I want to clear it, I can just use that to clear. So this is optional. Validation text is optional. Leading icon is optional. Trailing icon is optional. Just know when to use it at the right time to use it. Our next topic is like best practices. What you need to consider when you're designing input field. The first one is keep input field concise and to the point. You want to collect a particular details from the user. Don't give the user a long test. Provide this. Like keep it direct, straight to the point, easy to understand, so the user can provide exactly what is needed of them to provide. The second one is use clear and descriptive labels. Where we have password here, just put password. You don't have to put provide 20-digit security pin. Just put password. So it's direct and it's clear. The third one is place labels properly. This is a label. You need to place it properly. You can't have your label up here and then your container down here. The user won't know, okay, where exactly I'm meant to provide that particular information. So you need to place your label properly. The fifth one is be careful with placeholder text and its construct. I'm going to give you an example of why you need to be careful with that. So placeholder text, like I explained, placeholder text is different from input text in the sense that placeholder is an example of the information that I'm meant to provide, and input text is when the user has already provided that. So you need to like um put that contrast there so the user will know that, oh, this is not the information I provided, this is an example of what I'm meant to provide. And also when the user clicks on that container, you're going to clear out the placeholder so the user can now provide his own email address or his own data. The seventh one is make input field large enough for easy interaction. And this is what we're referring to. If this container is very tiny and I'm using a mobile device, it's going to be hard for the user to click on this container for them to provide the detail they're meant to provide. So you need to make it large enough so the user can easily interact with that input field. Then the eighth one is provide clear error messages when validation fails, and consider using inline validation to provide real-time feedback. For example, if a user is meant to input a password and password is wrong, provide clear error message that password is wrong. Password is wrong. Don't just say error. You need to provide what went wrong. So that's what the it means. So you need to check these practices when you're designing input fields. So let's look at our input field styles. And we have different styles for an input field. The first one is bottom line with fill. You can see this bottom line here, and you can see that it has a fill. The second one is bottom line with no fill. You can see this bottom line, and you can see that it doesn't have any fill. The third one is outline with adaptive label. And you can see the label here. It's called adaptive because when I've already provided my detail here, for example, if I've not provided my name here, the label is going to be inside this container. But now that I've provided my detail, it comes up here. That's why it's called adaptive. The it adapts to the states. Okay, the state, yes. So the fourth one is outline with contained label. Just shows that the label is contained in my container, right? Then the fifth one is outline with top label. The label is at the top. And the sixth one is outline with left or right label. And left or right is basically showing that the label is here. But if I have more details, everything is going to be aligned to the left. And or everything is going to be aligned today, right? That's what it means here. So when you pick a particular style to use for your form, stick with one. If you're using outline with top label, stick with that. Don't use this outline with top label and use adaptive and use fill in different places on that particular app. You need to be consistent with the particular style that you are using. Then let's look at input field states. And in this section, you see that I'm going to explain what I was talking about earlier about your placeholder and your input text. Let me just quickly do that. So this is what we have as a placeholder. You can see that the detail provided here is not showing well. It's just giving me an example of what I meant to provide. Then this is an input text. Me as a user, I've already provided my email address. That is why it's showing like this. So you need to really apply that construct so that the user knows what and what state they are in at that moment. So we have six major types of states. We have the inactive state. The user hasn't provided any detail and they are giving a placeholder of what they are meant to provide. We have overstate when, let's say I'm using a desktop and my mouse just like hovers around that section. It shows this to show that, oh, I'm currently around this section. Then we have error states. If as a user I provided a wrong email address, like you can see here, the at is not in this email address and the G is not here. So this email address is invalid. And I provided a clear error detail to show that this is currently invalid. Then the fourth one is active state. You can see this blue stroke around it. It shows that the user is currently typing something. And I'm not using blue because I just want to use blue. The blue is the brand color, right? So if the brand color is around green, I'm going to use green to show that this is currently active. Then the fifth one is field state to show that the user has already provided that detail. So it's showing like this. Then the sixth one is disabled state, and disabled state shows that this particular input field does not collect, is not collecting any data at this point. So it shows that I cannot edit or I cannot type it. These are the different states of input field that we have. So now let's look at the types of input field. We have different types of input field for different data that is required for the user to input. So the first one is text input field, and this is what we have here. Text input field can be used to collect your name, full name, or can be used to collect email address. And it's called text input field because I'm just required to provide a text and nothing more. The second one is password field, and password field is to provide a password, like a security password. And this icon is needed so that the user can see what the person is typing and the user can decide to hide for security reasons. So that's why we need this kind of icon on our password input field. The third one is phone number field. And you can see that phone number is quite different. So this icon is needed so that the user knows the kind of phone number they are meant to provide. It can either be the country of the number they are providing, or the number code. For example, I'm from Nigeria, so the number code is +234. So it's either I'm using my country's flag, I'm using that number at this section. So this is needed so that the data provided is going to be accurate. I know that, oh, this number is for this particular country and region and all. So the fourth one is date field, and date field is like this. It's needed like this so that the user knows that when I click on this, a calendar comes out and the I select the date that I want to select. So that is a date input field. The fifth one is selection. And selection field is, I'm not providing any detail. I just select from the options that the app provides me. For example, gender. When I select on this, it gives me a drop down that shows male or female. So I can either decide to select I'm a male or I'm a female. The sixth one is search, and search is basically I type on it and looking for something. It's also a type of input field. Then the seventh one is description field, and this is how a description field looks like. Description field is different from text input field in the sense that text input field are meant to provide a short information, a short data. While description field are providing like a paragraph, more than a line. of information. And a validation text can also be used in this description field to just to give the user more context to what they are meant to provide. For example, limit your information to 50 words or provide max 50 words. So the users understand more what they are meant to provide, right? So these are like the different types of the major different types of interview that we have. There are more, but these are like the major ones, right? Now that we've learned the best practices that you need to consider when designing Impulse Field, let's go into Figma to design the proper. Yeah, so I'll be having this on another video. So watch out for the part two of this video. I hope you've learned something new in this video. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on your notification so you're notified when next I drop a video. Bye.